team. Good news is Tim's pretty terrible this game, so that's the truth.
Very proud. They played a very sharp, very on top of their game Eclipse today, and really excelled at nailing, unfortunately, 07. When they gave him that little bit of breathing room, he took it.
Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Community WGLNA show. I'm Tim Hamlet, and yes, my desk moved, flags new, and we have Ted Arundel. How you doing, Ted?
I am fine. Did your desk move by itself, or did you help it?
I helped it.
Good. Otherwise, I'd say
I had to
move
use
away
a
from the
dolly
desk,
too. It's kind of heavy.
Okay. Welcome, everybody. Excited to have you guys here. We're a community show, so having you, the community, participate with us, even with our wonky schedules and our different formats. We're very grateful to have you all here, and we're excited because the matches from Thursday, they were pretty interesting. I think they're one was expected, and the other one was very close and a very well thought out match.
Right.
So before we jump into that, there's some things we need to discuss. We talked about a little bit last time we had our show, and that was Vetro moving over to Apex,
Right.
and then Ledif moving to Eclipse. Well, also on Tuesday, we found out that EXO is no longer with Eclipse. So suddenly you're looking at a team that has two players who are consistently playing with them gone. And the good news is, though, they have probably one of the best quote-unquote bench guys around in Drock, because he's been playing really well.
It's been fantastic. They have a really strong bench. If you look, Errol showed the.
They're running out of bench though.
Yeah, they have Ledif, you have Photo Finish, you have T1 Diabetic, no Nick, no Skill, Dark God, Zim, and then you have Tigers, and you have Master Pupil, and you have Drock. All of those 8 players are
all can start. All can start.
Excellent.
Yeah. And remember, guys, if there's any potential, they might add someone. I don't know necessarily when the roster changes are, but I do know in certain circumstances they do allow them to be players to be added outside of those time frames. And that's important because that means that in case 2 people can't make it, that Eclipse isn't fielding a team of 6. Now, how would Eclipse deal with a top tier that was coming on, a pretty good pace when you look at them for coming into this match? I mean, top tier is a tough team. We know they're a tough team, but how would they look? So we'll go first to map picks. Yes. Because guess what Eclipse banned, Tim?
Let me guess, Cliff?
Very good. And guess what top tier banned on Eclipse?
Ghost Town?
Prokhorovka.
They didn't ban Ghost Town?
They didn't ban Ghost Town. That was the first map right out of the chute. That was the first map out of the chute, and I thought that was fascinating. I'm like, really? Okay, that's different. So it meant that not only were they confident in playing on Proc, top tier banned Proc, and not only are they confident of playing on Ghost Town, which even the announcers, even Rookhill and James said that. Ghost Town is Eclipse's map. They play very well. But if top tier takes a match out of that, maybe that hits them in the confidence.
Right.
Right there between the your ego and your heart, the confidence. And if you get that hit hard early, that's not a good thing. But so we had Ghost Town as the first map. Then we have Murrow, Himmels, Runeberg, and Ghost Town as a tiebreaker. So I think looking at it on paper, Eclipse would be pretty happy.
Yeah.
But again, let's remind you guys, Eclipse is playing without one of their normal players, EXO, and they just had introducing Ledif to the squad. And they mentioned at the face-off, Tim, I don't know if you heard this, because James asked him what position would Ledif play, and they said whatever is needed. He's that multifaceted a player.
Right.
And I think that speaks very strongly of the faith they have in him right away. And he's a known property. He's been playing for a while for 07 and doing very well for them. I think that was a wise decision. So we enter into first battle, and we look at Ghost Town with attacking with Eclipse on the attack, and they do get the win. They cap out. Rude Awakening is still live at the end, but it doesn't matter because he's in the Oods and he can't do too much, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see any difference in this eclipse than the eclipse we've seen in the last couple of weeks. The way that they moved in this first match. Did you, Tim?
No, I didn't see too much of a difference. Again, I wasn't able to watch all of it, but yeah, I think I was hopeful at the end of the first match.
Well, they did some really sharp rotations. They also found some really strong counterattacks. They fell back on the old eclipse, like we'll get more guns on you than you have on us, and it worked. Now the second match, if you watch that match in entirety, from the beginning till probably the last 3 minutes or 2 minutes of the match, Eclipse is the one who's being the aggressor. They're doing strong rotations. They're getting eliminations as they need to. But on the other side of top tier, Exits, Muriel, and Pompous were beasts. At the end, that's a 50B and 2 bat chats. They managed to, they were 3-on-4 at one point, and then they fought their way back and got the win. What I think happened there is it's a combination of these three guys have been playing together all season and have that confidence, and also just some really gutsy play. Because did you see Exits driving off the side of that ramp and almost
I
flipping
did
his,
see that.
tank?
That was one of the things I obviously was glad I didn't miss.
Yep.
That was
Now,
quite entertaining.
And what they did is they did a rotational attack. The best way to phrase it is a rotational attack. Is he was attacking Drock. Drock tried to sort of back slam him off of. While he was looking at him, Muriel came by and dumped more damage into the E100, which has a lot of damage, folks. And then just as just as Muriel ran out of ammo, Exits found a shot and finished him off, or vice versa. It was very close to who killed it. But that level of interchange and isolation was exactly what they needed to knock off Eclipse. Either way, fantastic battle. And in a way, this is exactly what we're going to see throughout the rest of this match, because out of this series of battles are 3 of the best battles I've seen all season. And this is one of them, because this was really impressive to watch. Not because anyone threw, but just because of how teams took advantage of whatever situation they were in. So moving on, we have Muravanka. And Muravanka favors the defender, and that was Eclipse. And what Eclipse did early in this match was do that long line that we've seen more and more at the hills, with just a little bit, not quite the camping near the south cap that we've seen other teams do. And by doing that, they kind of drew in the attack of top tier. They came down from the north. They fell back. They proceeded to run all the way to the forest. Eclipse ran all the way to the forest, set up their guns, which included 2 grills, if I remember correctly. No, I'm not remember correctly. They had Krav and the Bat Chat set up there. They dumped out the fire. They managed to eliminate top tier efficiently and effectively, I'd argue, to get the win and go up 2-1. Again, sharp play, really, really smart calls by Tigers and T1. I mean, just they seem to be really on top of their game for this match. Sam, what did you think?
It was good. What I found most interesting when I went back and watched it was the fact that Eclipse, even though the defender usually has the advantage on that map, Eclipse appeared to not even care about what statistics said. They came out and they beat him.
Well, and by swinging all the way to the other side of the map, they created those lanes of fire through the village and into that little gully that's there. Not quite the fire sack, but more further to the left of that. And that's where they paid off. Top tier was kind of caught off guard by that. I think that early engagement and then the full rotation by Eclipse through them. And I think that may have dictated the way that the fourth match went, because you had that swinging movement again, but this time it was the setup. This Eclipse went right into the forest, and the first thing that Rude Awakening did is he found another bush. I swear that guy finds the best bushes to camp at, and he sits there. And so what Eclipse did, which I understand, they did their best to try to blind fire all the bushes around there. Guys, there's a lot of bushes. There's a lot of bushes in and around there. And the position that was taken by Root, and I can't even describe it. It was, I'd say it was west and a little bit, if you're staring at the map, it's west and south of where the cap is, almost behind. There's one building that was in the way. I watched this a few times because this is a really impressive match. And by doing that, he began to frustrate Eclipse. They even had comms playing at one point, and you could hear Eclipse going, "Where is he? Where is he?" And they're pretty calm. But when they can't find him, and they know he's there because they're getting spotted, in the end, Tigers just YOLOs in, finds him, takes him out, takes some damage. So does Photo. Photo takes some damage too. And that's when everything starts to begin. They ran unknown all the way up north. Top tier did. In a way, they were X-Soldier. And in a way, what they were doing is they were setting X-Soldier up to run away at the end of the match because time was clocking down. There's, I think, about 4 minutes left at this point. So they're like, okay, we're good. We're confident enough that we can hold and we can do what needs to be done. Then they started to swing towards the forest. Exchanges started happening here. Tanks started dying. One of the things that stood out to me, though, was when X-Soldier got involved, he started getting cap points. He nailed Dark God Zim, who came in there to try to cap. Once they started pushing it, it wasn't a full sweeping move through the forest. It was more a creeping north to south movement, Tim. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
And then what X-Soldier did is he went south. He went further east than where a T1 was set up in his grill. So T1 didn't notice he was that X-Soldier was coming behind him. And in coming behind him, that opened up the shots on the cap, which helped reset the cap, got him tons of fantasy points. And in the end, once that line was broke, at that exact moment, Top Tier collapsed in on him. And it was a great fight. This is one of my favorite matches I've seen on Muravanka ever. It was just both teams had really sharp plays. Each one's had it. You could see why they were doing what they were doing. I mean, it was just
right.
The position held by Eclipse was strong. The moves, including sending X all the way north and being able to get behind that whole flank, that was a really good call match, really fun to watch, and just it tied everything up 2-2. And I was watching and I was cheering because I thought this is what the WGLNA is. This is how good it can be if you're a fan and watching. But I give this. I mean, Tim, what did you think of this match?
It was instantly played by Top Tier. I did not expect that to happen. I'm pretty sure there was a oh my. Yeah. I mean, PG language, but when T1 found out that X-Soldier was behind him, I'm pretty sure there was some surprise going on.
I don't even think he saw him behind him. I think he saw him on his flank because that's how quickly he'd gone. And I'm noticing just now, Tim, stream-wise, we're just kicking off the show, so we might have a 10-minute delay or something like that going on. But one thing it excited me. I like great matches, and that was a great match between two really competent teams and two really strong teams. We moved then to Himmelsdorf. And right again into another amazing, great match. What we had is a strong setup down the rail line to start by Top Tier.
Right.
Then they began to move and shift a bit. They began to isolate and contain Eclipse down in the southern block of the map. And in doing so, they had a numbers advantage. And I want to say they had 5 or 6 tanks to 4 when this move really began the thing. But then T1 fired the 4005 and deleted a tank.
Booyah!
Yeah, exactly. And they were just like, because you could hear Ruko go, there's 5 tanks, there's 4 tanks, because of what happened. Everything changed there. Photo started getting in. Aghaku came in, and then there was another shot by the 4005, and another tank got deleted. At which point, after the first tank was deleted, then No Nick, No Skill was in a great position to come down and rotate in his bat chat. But he had I don't know what the police code is for a small accident that causes you to flip up and die. But it was he somehow killed himself by crashing on Himmelsdorf.
Oh, hey, at least it's not on cliffs, right?
No, it's not on cliffs, but he's coming down off of the hill, and he was on the inside of the map. And he tried to, there's that point, as everyone knows, where it bends, and I guess he was trying to go down the rough part, and he must have missed the rough part or misjudged it. And guys, it happens. I mean, we've seen it in the World Championship, the grand final match. You get stuck, you make a mistake, things happen. But when he died, right after that, T1 got another shot off, but it was very much an open game. It ended up becoming, at the end of the game, Top Tier began to be put on the back foot. Aghaku was the only one left, and it was Aghaku versus Drak and photo finish. and T1. Now T1 had to get down off the hill safely, and he was doing so. But the other tanks, the first thing that Akako did was he took out Drock with a shot, and then you had what I would call kind of a dream match. It was an IS-7 with photo finish, one of the best heavy players ever in North America versus Akaku, who's newer, but also an amazing, amazing heavy tank player in an IS-4. In this situation, the IS-4 got the better and killed him just as T1 showed up. And T1 got a shot off, only did like 380 points of damage, and there was still more than enough. The exchange started happening, and since he didn't get that penetration, which he would have killed him automatically, it was Akaku who took the 1 versus 3. Another just awesome match. Another really good close match. Tim, what did you think? I know you're cheering for Eclipse, but that was fun to watch.
That was amazing. I almost wish we were at the point here in the show where we could air clips. I think we'll have that about next week or so. But yeah, that was just amazing. That was some next level brawling right there.
It was, and the faith that they have, Akaku has begun to show and demonstrate just how good he can play. And again, I'm gonna bet that Rude was there backing him up, probably not yelling in his ear, but giving him hints and everything. I was talking to some of the top tier players afterwards, and I made a comment, and their affection and their appreciation of everything that Rude does is pretty positive. We'll leave it at that. But we go on to the next Himmelsdorf match, and again, sharp play, good rotation. On the attack again, and Himmels is known to be a bit more of a defense than an attack map.
Right.
They get the win. Ledov had a strong game there, but Darkgod Zim went out pretty early. I think he got 3 shots out before he was toast. No Nick, no skill, getting eliminated in the IS-7, even after doing 2,500 damage. It was just strong play, really strong play. Now that man at this point, if you're looking at things, if you're sharing with us at home, that makes it 4-2. This is the exact same position that Eclipse was the last time they played top tier, as they were down 4-2. I thought it all depended on how the next match on Runeberg went.
Mm-hmm.
Primarily because when you see those the way teams set up on Runeberg, you can kind of get a very strong idea of what they're going to do and how they're going to play. When we saw this, in this case, the first thing that they did was they YOLO'd across. Top tier did is they YOLO'd across the one line. The A line. And I was like, what are you doing? And I can see the idea is they had the concept was they were going to set the EA4 in a corner, cap behind it, get some tanks out there to prevent that normal setup at the buildings right there.
Right.
And it just they lost 2 or 3 tanks incredibly quickly. But and I had this, and it was pointed out to me by Ute. Look at the positioning Eclipse picked. Everyone was exactly where they needed to be. I mean, everyone was exactly in the proper place where they needed to be to take full advantage. And it was just like silver platter skeet shooting for them, but it was because they were in exactly the right place that they were able to do such effective shooting. Right. Strong play by Photo again, strong play by Nonik. Just a good strong match, and that made it 3-4. And everyone went, oh, okay, here we go again. What's going to happen? But what happened is top tier won. Top tier pushed, did a East cap strat instead of the normal North cap that seems to be pretty popular right now. They got Darkgod Zim literally with no damage done. There was a 2-mouse attack variant that Eclipse thought about doing, and it just didn't. It came apart for him, and that made it 5-3, and that gave the victory to top tier and second place. And now we'll talk more about what all the places and all the points means once we get done with next week's matches and everything, or the coming matches tonight. But man, Tim, that was a great series.
Yeah,
I know you're disappointed because I know you wanted Eclipse to win.
This means they can just come back and make bigger next time.
Well, we'll see. Mm-hmm. And tonight they have Dare Rising, which we'll get into in a bit. But I have a feeling that Tigers and T1 will have worked incredibly hard to shore up the team, to look at any issues that they thought they might have. Because I've been saying this all along. You have to give a player time to adjust with a team, not just their strats, but with the players. Because if you play with someone for a while, you know what they're going to do unconsciously. You know how they're going to plan things out. But when you're coming into a new team, that intangible isn't always there.
Yeah.
I have almost respect for both T1 and the way he runs a team in Eclipse and in Ledef, but it takes time. It takes a little bit of time. And unlike Apex, which can do whatever they want because they've already cinched things, they don't have that luxury. They're in a fight for second place that they desperately need to win rather than because no one wants to play in the playoffs. Well, they don't. Too many things can happen in the playoffs if you're not careful.
Yes.
Now let's move on to the second match of the evening, which was rival Simple Tankers versus Apex.
This was heartening, I'll say, after watching the previous match, at least for me.
Yeah, well, the previous match they got annihilated by Apex, and I don't use the term annihilated often. I think it was like 25 minutes they burned through 5 matches. It was ugly. However, one of the best things about this is go to WGLNA and look at Jay Smooth's face-off. That was pretty awesome. That was the Love Connections. Did you see that, Tim?
Yep. I with the Cubs jersey and everything. I'm like,
Yep.
Yeah.
That was pretty awesome. And he made Comps break a smile twice. He deserves an award just for that. Comps is always serious. He's always focused. But even he was enjoying this face-off. So we jump in the first map, and literally everyone went, "Nerd?" I mean, made that Scooby-Doo sounding, what's this? Because instead of a normal mine setup, if you will, you had a T-49 and 4 IS-4s, a Death Star driven by Vetro,
2 Death
another one
Stars.
by God Emperor Brett, and in a short order, and I think the different tanks threw Rival, because Rival never seemed to really put anything together in this match, and I think it might have just been how do we deal with IS-4s once they seized the hill, because they did, and they just didn't have an answer for it. The second match was one of my favorites, just simply because there were 2 Mouses, one driven by Ox Mathis and the other by Comps. Now, Dodoma and Germ sat out the first couple matches, and Comps rotated in, and we also saw Nits play, and that's important because they're getting their bench folks some time in.
Yes,
that
that's
makes
great.
sense to you. But the second match had Ox Mathis and Comps in their Mouses. Anyway, they drove all the way to the East Cap, got on the East Cap, and got a cap out. It's pretty audacious. How, when you have 2 Mouses supporting each other, and also I think a T-49 backing them up, it's really hard to get to their sides to pen them. It was just another. And some people were saying, "What are they doing the silly strats for? Why are they letting Rival have a chance?" They're taking advantage of the fact that the odds are they're going to beat this team. Let's be brutally honest. Since they have that, they're trying different strats. They're getting people some time in. It's like when I grew up a Vikings fan. It's like most teams when they play the Vikings these days because they're horrible. Teddy Rogers, Bridges, the rest of you guys are great, but we were beat up on for a long time, and you kind of have to look at how that works. But you don't, if you're up by a lot of points, you don't try to run it up when you don't need to. They came out, and this strat was interesting. Now, the tank strat too far was up next when they tried a 4 Mouse strat with 2 Tier 9 Bat Chats and a Death Star on Ghost Town. They're just not fast enough. I mean, when an E100 is faster than you, it's not your day. But using the E100, the IS-7s, they got their heavies involved. They only lost 2 tanks. Rival took them out and got the win. And I've heard some people say, well, that was kind of a throw. No, it wasn't. They were legitimately trying strats. I'm going to bet you money that Comps and the rest of the team, as much as they were probably enjoying themselves, was also going, well, what happens if in a real game situation? Well, they got to test that out. So that made they score 2-1. The next match on Ghost Town, another really strong map for Apex, was all Apex. Primarily, Ox got some side shots to reset and a mouse, and he ended up with 144 points, fantasy points. God Emperor Brett had 94.3 and 3,000 damage because he was driving. There were 2 Yagi 100s. They can pin
2 of
anything,
them.
pretty much. Yeah, 2 of them.
I hate seeing those things.
Especially I don't mind when they're on my team.
Especially in my T-57 Heavy, I come around the corner, I'm like, oh, no.
Yep.
Not today!
Well, Vetro was in the Death Star, and it was all Apex, as one would expect. On Runeberg, they went with a strat that I was told later on Ox came up with, and that was 5 FE 215Bs heavies, 1 Death Star, and a Crusader SP. Why a Crusader SP? And this was also played by Wally in the previous match. The Crusader SP can fire. What is it, Tim? 5.5 seconds, or it's under 8 seconds, isn't it? Around over 8
Yes.
seconds.
Yes.
Now that's not
Hate
great
that
in a tier 10 match for damage, but if you're shooting HE, you can reset.
Mm-hmm.
So think of it that way. And it's annoying. It's incredibly annoying to go, I'm getting hit. So you automatically look at your health bar, and you're not paying attention to the battle because it's just a knee-jerk reaction. And in doing so, you're like, I lost health? Oh, okay, there it is, because I just got hit again. But in the end, it was a great strat. They just nailed them. They came out and they cut them to pieces really quickly. This made match point 4-1. Shortly followed by 5-1 on pretty much almost an ace. They got an ace on the Brit Tanks map, and it was exactly what we expected it to be. It was a really confident Apex coming in. Rival did what they could, but they're missing a player, a strat. I don't know what they're missing, but they're missing something right now. And it's hard because we're all fans of Rival Simple Tankers. I mean, the league respects them so much. Everyone in the league, commissioners, everybody respects those guys. And it's hard seeing a team on tough times that so many people like and enjoy.
Right.
But Tim, how did you do in fantasy? Where did you place out of for Thursday night? What position did you get?
I moved up. I wasn't sure exactly why, but I'll show you. I'll show you guys. I'll show you guys why. I was at, if you guys remember, I was at around
111th, right?
Nope, I was further down than that. I was at like 140 something.
Okay.
And he was at 150. I moved up to 124. You moved up ahead of me to 115. So, GG you.
Now here comes the important question: did you pick Ox or did you not pick Ox?
Did not pick Ox.
That's what did it. Because Ninja Gumby was in the same spot, and I picked him as well. I had Pompous, which is. It's not often you have a 300-point plus scorer, and you're like, darn it, I wish I would have had somebody else. But he was the lowest guy for me. But for the night, you know how you can look up your scores for the night and everything? Do you know how you did for the evening, as far as placements go?
I do know. Yeah, I did. I do know how I did for the evening. Wasn't so nice. I was at 274 for the evening.
Okay.
But I was. I'd imagine one of the things I had running my advantage was the fact that Delth not play, and I switched him out. Last minute, I was out and about. I happened to look at my phone and see.
I was happy because I got 90th place overall for that whole day. So I thought that was pretty good to crack the top 100 as far as teams picked. I think that may be the highest I've gotten all season. But we now know where Ute is, which is in front of Tim, and he's still in front of me by, I think, just under 200 points. So he's got to be within 100 points of you, Tim, as far as looking at that distance goes.
He's well within 100 points of me.
Okay. Now, if you haven't played fantasy yet, go out and play fantasy. Why? Because you have a chance to win gold and other prizes, and the gold you get is for in-game use.
Right.
It's a lot of fun, and I highly recommend it because you can be competitive with your friends. You can be competitive with the league itself. Go to Twitter. They often the teams. A lot of Eclipse is one of the best ones. I'm letting you know the rosters early, so you can try to figure out your teams, and it gives you a different way to get to know what's going on and be more involved. And that's one thing that we're both pretty passionate about, is being involved in the WGLNA. But it's a great time. We're happy to have you guys here again, visiting us. Now we'll move on to the matches tonight. And another massive match for Eclipse. Eclipse is taking on Dare. In the standings, as of right now, we have to call it close is not fair to it. It's incredibly tight. You have Apex in first place. They have played 12 matches. Top tiers played 12 matches. Eclipse has a game in hand and played 11 matches. They're in third place, only a single point above Dare Rising, who's in fourth place. Aquatics on 16 points right now. Okay, we're gonna get in a much more in-depth explanation after we get done with what happened with the matches, or what will happen with the matches tonight, and then we can look at what our possibilities are and everything at the moment, because it gets confusing and it gets messy. And I've got 2 pages of notes, just trying to look at all the computations of what can happen.
Right.
So we'll tackle that afterwards. The first thing to say is I would highly recommend putting between 4 to 5 players in this match.
Yes.
With Dare versus Eclipse, or because I think this will be tight. I think it'll be 5-3, but with the transition issues that we saw Eclipse have, even with them playing so well, and some transition moments, I don't. I'm more tended to go towards Dare, even though Dare has had some minor struggle in matches lately. I mean, they lost matches that people wonder if they should have won, and it all turns out differently. But it's an incredibly tight league, guys. So it's not necessarily an easy one to pick who is where and all the rest of that stuff. But that being said, guess what maps that Dare happens to be pretty good on? I'll give you one guess.
Oh, how about Ghost Town or Himmelsdorf?
No, actually, it's Runeberg and Ghost Town are the 2 maps that they probably want to pick, or Steps. They've got some pretty consistent victories on them for it. On the other side of the teams, if you will, Himmelsdorf and Ghost Town are 2 of the strongest ones, and Proc and Runeberg. So I don't think Eclipse is really going to worry too much. They could probably deny Runeberg and Ghost Town just to take Dare out of any comfort zone, even though they're pretty good at themselves. Now for Fantasy, for my team right now, I have Aggressor, I have Ledif, I have both the Putins, and I have Photo Finish. So those are my picks as of right now for this match. I think there's a lot of points in there. I think whenever I don't pick Aggressor, he gets a lot of points. So I'm hoping he gets a lot of points here. And the 2 Putins are just safe picks in this sort of setup, in this sort of match. Even if it's a sweep, which I don't think it'll be on either side. But the key to this comes down to Eclipse. If Eclipse can get some of the cohesion that they had in some of those amazing games and just figure out 1 or 2 small enhancements, tweaks, tune-ups, however you want to phrase it, this is hard. This is a coin toss match.
Yeah, it really is. As much as I like Eclipse, they're not doing so hot since with recent roster changes and everything. That stuff takes time, but yeah, this could go either way.
It can, because a win here gets there closer to second place. And once again, matches in hand and how many matches you have to left, as well as who you're playing in the future, can really distinctly tell you what's going to happen. I'm going to call this match 5-4. I'm going to go with Dare for the win, simply because I'm not convinced yet that Eclipse is completely settled as far as with the new roster changes. It could be 5-3. I'm thinking 5-3 or 5-4 for Dare. Tim, what's your call on this match?
I'm gonna say it's 5-4 for Eclipse. Eclipse is, regardless of what I just said about Eclipse not doing so hot, they are still the same championship team. In spirit.
Well, they're missing some players that they had from last season. However, and the season before. However, the core is still there. You still have the core guys that help make this team a success. So we have to see how far they can take it. Racer says that he thinks Dare wins. I agree. But what do you call this match score-wise, Tim?
Yeah, 5-4. I'm in favor of Eclipse.
Okay. Well, it's going to be interesting, guys. Tune in for this match by itself would be awesome. The next match is going to be pretty competitive, I'm going to argue, because the next match is Valence versus Rival.
Right.
Okay, hold on. Calm down. Yes, I know these are the bottom 2 teams, but both of them want to do something. Rival badly wants to win. They want to get 1 win out of the season badly. They want this badly, again, to be their night. Valence, on the other hand, they need this win. They win this, and they're looking at and they get 1 more win, and 07 doesn't. 07 continues to struggle. They can qualify for the playoffs. They're down 4 points. If they don't get this win, they're not. It's not good for them. They're pretty much out of the race right now.
Right.
We know Rival's out of the race, but I think Rival's doing this for pride right now, and just for their own self-satisfaction. Looking at this team setup and looking at who's playing, I love Rival Simple Tankers. Jay Smooth, Zakume, all those guys are great guys. I still got to give it to Valence. I think 5-2 would be a good call for it, simply because I think Valence has been improving, and it's just too late in the day for them to really be hyper competitive, but they still have a shot at that last playoff spot. It's a lot of it's out of their hands. If 07 wins a match, and I believe 07 will be playing Rival sometime upcoming before the end of the season, so there has to be some. The ball's in 07's court. Let's phrase it politely that way.
Play them on the 23rd.
Yep. So it's not, which is next Thursday. All that said, I picked 2 guys out of there. I picked Executus and Spooky, one from each team for points. G-Forcer would be another good pick. I don't know if you picked anyone out of here, Tim.
I'm not gonna pick anybody out of here.
Okay.
Sorry, guys. It's just the points are on another match.
Sure. It's not a bad call. I mean, I understand the logic behind it. Now we're gonna get into the math of it. This is gonna get messy, but follow along as if it's best you guys can. When you're looking at the standings right now, and you're looking at where things are, Apex sits on top at 35 points. No one's gonna touch them. They have 2 matches left. They play 12. They have 2 matches left. That means that they have a capacity to end the season with 41 points. Okay, now. Then you move down to top tier. Now, top tier is on 22 points right now, but only has 2 matches left. One of those matches is against Apex.
Right.
And the other one, I think, is Aquatic M60s, Tim?
We'll check.
No, it's against Rival.
Yes.
I'm wrong.
Rival and Apex.
So there's a pretty good chance that they'll end up with 25 points. Okay, so keep that in mind. 25 points at the end of the season, and the odds are fairly good of this. If they beat Apex, fantastic, but let's just assume, since no one else has, that they don't. So that puts them on 25 points at the end of the season. On the other hand, if you look at Eclipse, who's down, Eclipse still has 3 matches left to play. Eclipse plays tonight against Dare. This is why this match is critical. They win tonight, they jump up to 23 points. They actually go get in front of top tier. Then, out of the 2 other remaining matches they have, they just need to win 1 to stay ahead. Yeah, because if they beat Dare's not getting any points. If they win 1 more match after that, and Eclipse have, they play Valence on Thursday. They probably feel pretty confident about that. So they would secure 2nd place, and they could breathe easy with 3 match days left remaining if they can do that.
Yes.
If they beat Dare tonight, it's a big step into them securing that 2nd place stop. Because not only are they shutting down Dare, top tier just doesn't have enough matches to catch up unless they somehow manage to beat Apex like we discussed earlier. So let's say for them right now that they'll end up with 26 points, because even if they lose tonight, then they have 2 matches remaining. They're going to be playing against Valence, and then they're going to be playing against 07. Potentially both matches they could win. They'd still end up on 26 points. So let's assume they don't win tonight. They're on 26 points.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to end up ahead of top tier, and that means that top tier is going to definitely be in the playoffs unless Valence or 07 somehow find a way to take points from them. So let's move down to Dare, who are currently sitting in 4th place. At 4th place, Dare currently has 4 matches left to play, which you're like, oh, that's fantastic. Look at who they have left to play. They win tonight. They jump up to 23 points. Okay, they jump up to 22 points. They pass Eclipse and hold 3rd place right now. Great, Dare does that. Then they play Valence on Tuesday. That can get them to 25 points. So again, they'd be tied with top tier. But then it gets a bit difficult, because then Dare has on Tuesday, February 28th, Aquatic M60s.
Oh boy.
Okay, that could be a very big, important match for them. And then their last match would be against Apex. So they have a very good chance of picking up 25 points if they win tonight, but they're still don't have that access to 26 as easily as Eclipse does. So the odds still are favoring Eclipse to walk away with 2nd place right now, based entirely on scheduling and who they have left to play. It's going to be really tough to see what's going to happen here. And then you look at Aquatic, and Aquatic on paper has a chance. They're on 16 points, and they have 3 matches left to play. The matches they'd have left to play are up against 07, Dare, and Valence.
Right.
they could potentially win all those matches. That would give them 25 points again. And again, Eclipse has a little bit of an advantage. So looking at the top teams right now, even if Eclipse wins tonight, they're in a pretty positive position to get second place.
Yeah.
It's up to Valence or oh 07 to knock those opportunities down. So we're gonna have to see how it plays out, guys. It's really interesting. It's fascinating. On the bottom two teams, you have 07. They just need a win. One more win eliminates Valence entirely out of contention. They have Aquatic M60s, they have Rival, and then they have Eclipse. Rival would be the one that they're probably looking at to be a win for them, that they should win, and they should beat them. But they need to do something, otherwise they're going to go into the playoffs pretty cold, and likely be playing either Dare or top tier if we're just looking at the possibilities right now. And I don't think 07 doesn't stack up as well as they could against either one of those two teams. And that would leave Apex up against the other one of those teams. And not so much closer race, I would argue. But we're gonna have to see. This is where it gets interesting, folks. But thank you so much for being a part of our show. We're a community show. Without a community, we don't have a show. Tim, what are your thoughts on tonight, and what are your thoughts in closing?
It's going to be a very interesting night. It all really rests on that first match to see if Eclipse can take back the crown from top tier. Yeah, it's going to be very, very, very interesting.
I just want to comment real quick. Sweatshop thinks it's an easy 6 points for Aquatic M60s, looking at what they are right now. When you look at who they have, 6 points does get them to 25, which is a positive for them when they're looking at who they're playing. And who they're playing is Valence and 07. The question is what 07 can do to stop the bleeding. If they come out with a strong strat, but something else is that the other intangible we have to talk about is they don't have Ledif anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So did they add somebody? Or are they just going to play off the bench, which means do we get to see Meadowhawk finally play?
Oh.
Which would be pretty awesome, I think. So I could just imagine him playing in a suit. That'd be pretty special. But regardless of which, we want to thank you guys for stopping by. And Tim, can you send us out?
Yep, as always, we wouldn't be here without you guys. Apologize about the technical difficulties. We'll be trying to get rid of that. I'll have to send somebody to go take care of that construction crew. Yeah, I guess we'll see you guys tonight for the matches. And as always, thanks for stopping by.